Enjoy the refreshments. Welcome everyone to the Geneva Engage Awards. My name is Marco Lotti. I'm External Relations and Partnerships Manager at the Geneva Internet Platform and DiploFoundation. And since today this is an awards ceremony, I will also wear the hat of your Masters of Ceremony. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you here, and it's also a pleasure for us to go back to our traditional way of doing meetings, which is the hybrid one. We used to have in-situ audiences, which is the case today after 2 years, and we also have our communities online who are following the stream of this event. A recording of this event will also be made available on the website after today's event, where we will also publish a detailed analysis
recording in progress
of the calculations that we do, and I know that many of you already asked me about it. So a little word about Geneva Engage Awards. We are now at the 8th edition, and we started back in the days in 2015, and the idea was to recognize the efforts of those actors that had outdone themselves in outreach and engagement and communicating effectively what happens in Geneva. We all know it, we are part of the Geneva ecosystem. International Geneva is rich in terms of actors, expertise, processes, but that doesn't mean much if it's not effectively communicated. So by this occasion, yearly occasion, we wanted to create an informal community of practitioners and champions for their categories, for them to share the best practices and the advices they could give to organizations that are facing similar challenges. So again, thank you for being here. Of course, throughout the years, we have perfected our methodology. We have tweaked it a bit, mostly thanks also to your suggestions and comments, which you can also make today during the reception. There will be a chance to discuss what our methodology is about, but also for the people online, you can reach out at geneva@diplomacy.edu. Our traditional pillar is based on a calculation which assesses the type of interaction, the type of engagement that you have online, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So we see how many likes you make, how many organizations you're following, how much you follow, how much you reply, and this type of indicators. This is the first pillar. But then we expanded it a bit, just for you to have an idea. And in 2020, at the beginning of the year, we had introduced a new award, that of effective online and engagement from organizations. Now, the Geneva Engage Awards of 2020 happened just before the pandemic. So looking back, we could have not told how important and relevant that would have been. Looking back, maybe we can say that was very smart foresight, but it was just luck or unluck timing. And throughout the years, many organizations have been awarded in this category: IGF, Internet Governance Forum for first, ITU, and last year the CERN, the European Center for Nuclear Research. And today also we will have another winner for that category. Last year we also decided to take it a step further, and we introduced another category, that of the web footprint. We tried to determine how visible are organizations when it comes to Google searches. Ultimately, we determined, and thanks to your help, a word list of about more than 2,000 entries that would be linked to the mandate and the core mission of your organization, and see what happens when, for example, a person in London or in Los Angeles or in Nairobi types those keywords, if a Geneva-based organization pops up in the top 10 results on Google. How is that visible? You may be present on Google, and this started also from our internal exercise, but it's a little bit of a bummer if our organization is on the 5th page of Google, because most likely users will not see that. And to conclude, this year, we also decided to introduce a new award, that of accessibility. We determined how much organizations engage online, how visible they are on Google, but we asked the question, is their content accessible? And as for all the questions that we ask organizations, it started from a question and exercise that we did internally. Is the content that we produce accessible also for all types of audiences? Of people with disabilities, for example. So we looked at indicators such as brightness or color contrast and navigability of the website. And we are happy to award one organization for the first time this year, but I will tell you more later on. Now, a little bit about the structure of today's event, the awards ceremony, and we will see who the champions for these categories are this year. And then I will invite you to stay with us after the awards ceremony to exchange informally during the reception time. We decided to change a bit the format of the event because we know that you may have thematic questions on how to do social media, how to improve your performance, or questions on the methodology. So over lunch, we will have 3 thematic corners in this room. One that will explain you more about the type of work that we do, the big work and the analysis that goes into the Geneva Engage Awards, and feel free to make suggestions. Another corner about social media performance and engagement with Matthias Lufkens from Diplomacy. And a third corner from the director of DiploFoundation, Jovan Kurbalja, who will elaborate more on this web footprint element that I just touched upon. For our online audience, unfortunately, we cannot offer refreshments, but I can promise that the discussion will be interesting enough. And you can stay with my colleagues, Jovan Jegic, as well as Ginger Pak, who will elaborate more on this accessibility feature, the new element that we introduced this year, as well as our work with AI tools. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite a representative from the canton, Monsieur Olivier Couteau, on the stage for a few remarks.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, Mr. Secretary General, Mr. Director, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, in spite of the radical uncertainty of our time, the Geneva Engage Awards have been faithfully organized for 8 years in a row. I think that it is quite remarkable and reassuring. It's my pleasure to be with you today, especially with this beautiful weather. I consider this event as an opportunity to remember the people we work for. I like to say that International Geneva is not about Geneva, but about the world. The connection between the Geneva-based organizations and the people they serve is therefore essential. And when I say the people, I mean all the people, women, men, elderly, youth, and children. And today I'm tempted to say especially youth and children. There will be a lot of anniversary this year in 2023, including the 160th anniversary of the first Geneva-based international organization, the ICRC. But it's rare that we can commemorate 1 century, 100 years. And this is the case for the Declaration of the Right of the Child, known as the Déclaration de Genève, claiming that humanity must give the child the best it has. For the first time, in 1923, specific rights for children were recognized. The text was drafted by Eglantine Jebb, founder of Save the Children, and signed, among others, by Gustave Ador, then president of the ICRC. I take the liberty of mentioning that because I have noticed that all the organizations shortlisted for this year's awards work in one way or the other for children. Some more than others, of course, but be it for youth movement, for children in armed conflicts, for refugee children, for children affected by diseases, or for science education, I think that we can confidently claim and underline that children are very much at the heart of International Geneva priorities. The special link between Geneva and children is not new. As you can read in the introduction of the Geneva Digital Atlas published by the Geneva Internet Platform about the Esprit Tech de Genève, Jean Calvin and later Jean-Jacques Rousseau had a special attention to education issues. By the way, the fact that you use social media to engage with your audiences is another sign of the importance given to youth by international organizations. My understanding being that the average age of social media users is lower than the general population. I wish to warmly thank Geneva Internet Platform team for having been able to produce this new edition of the Geneva Engage Awards. I think that everything started during a discussion we had with Jovan Kobalia in 2014 or 15. I had the easy part because I just exchanged ideas, but you did the job with your team. It's an important work, complicated calculation. You alluded to that a few minutes ago, and I wish to very warmly thank you for that. But what matters is that this complicated calculation will allow us to discover who are the best in engaging with the world in general, and with youth in particular. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. I will now invite Jovan Kobalia, Director of Diplo and Head of the Geneva Internet Platform.
Thank you, Secretary General, Excellencies, friends and colleagues. There is uniqueness of this moment and this place. And this is uniqueness of the beauty which we are surrounded with. And thanks to WMO, we were joking, we got also nice weather. Therefore, we think if something will save this world, the highest chances are for beauty. Therefore, we have to convey the message from Geneva, as Mr. Couteau indicated, of engagement, information, expertise, and also beauty. I won't take much of your time. We are really honored to have today a guest of honor, Secretary General of the WMO, the host of this lovely building, including this lovely room, and also an extremely important actor and player in the key issues of our era, question of climate and weather. The issue, which cannot be confined only to Geneva. It has to be communicated worldwide. And we'll be later on hearing what WMO is doing to engage communities, citizens, and countries worldwide. But that would be all from my side, from such inspiring and engaging speech from Olivier. In addition to children, let us also put as a keyword beauty. It will matter a lot.
Thank you, Jovan. I will invite you to stay on stage with me to welcome the Secretary General. I will also invite Monsieur Couteau to join us back on stage, because not only we are pleased to have the remarks by the Secretary General of WMO, but WMO is also the recipient of one of the awards this year, that of effective and engaging online conferencing. As I was mentioning, this award was introduced 2 years ago. It was received first by the Internet Governance Forum, then by ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, and last year by CERN for their Indico platform. But during the past year, your organization has been one of those that has outdone itself when it comes to finding the most innovative interplay when using online tools and bringing together in situ audiences with online. So it's my pleasure to welcome you on stage and award you.
We need Maya as well. Maya, please join us.
Beauty as well.
We should implement beauty.
So, dear Olivier, dear Ivan, dear audience of this important event, thanks for coming here. And whenever you want to have nice weather, please give us this kind of awards. We are so grateful, and we organized that we can tune this knob and brings you nice weather after fairly gray winter, which is now behind, hopefully. So from WMO's side, we are celebrating 150th anniversary of existence of WMO. We were established as International Meteorological Organization only 150 years ago. And then we started setting standards for the global observing systems and making sure that we are exchanging data freely worldwide. And that has been the basis of weather forecasting and related services. And we are grateful for the government of Switzerland for building us this building where we can follow all the key elements that we are dealing with. We can see weather, we can see water, and we can see also climate from here, for example, melting of the glaciers here. Last summer, we saw a 6.2% decrease of the glaciers of Switzerland, which was caused by this this heat wave that we were facing here. And we have been also a bit concerned of the visibility of Geneva as a very important hub of UN. Everybody knows New York, where very much the UN policies taking place, but not so many people know Geneva. And I have always been using the phrase that the brains of UN, they are in Geneva, and the politics very much happens in New York. And these brains are a bit unknown. And therefore, these kind of visibility issues that you are dealing with today, they are very important also for us. And we have been dealing with one top secret thing since the late 70s, namely climate change. We decided to establish IPCC at our first World Climate Risk Conference here in 1979, and then we started publishing IPCC reports, and first nobody recognized those reports. They thought that these are it's only those meteorologists who are not able to forecast weather, and how could they say something about the future climate. And thereafter we faced attacks against science, and but nowadays what has been happening during the past 10 years, it's very encouraging. The governments have recognized that climate change is a real thing, and more recently also private sector companies have started acting, and we have a growing amount of means to be successful in climate mitigation. But unfortunately, this negative trend will continue for the coming decades anyhow, and the melting of glaciers and sea level rise for the coming centuries. So despite of this hope, we will see growing amount of disasters. And that's why it's important that we are acting, and it's very important that we still continue communicating those issues. And from our side, we have three major future initiatives. One is related to early warning services for all. Only half of our 193 members have proper early warning services in place, and we just got the mandate from recent COP27 and Secretary General Guterres to prepare an action plan for the coming 5 years that we would reach 100% coverage of early warning services, which is a powerful way to mitigate the negative impacts of climate change. Then we have a big conference going on downstairs at the moment related to greenhouse gas monitoring. What's going to happen to carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide? And we have certain unknowns there, and we have new means to monitor it in real atmosphere. That's another one. And the third one is related to the fact that with the current climate models, we cannot say what's going to happen to the weather extremes in the future, and there are big uncertainties related to future rainfall amounts, and that's why we have an initiative to go to kilometer scale climate modeling to describe the weather extremes and also this future rainfall amounts and drought flooding risks in much better fashion. And our dream is that in the future there might be a CERN type of center which would deal with this high resolution climate modeling. With these words, I'd like to welcome you again here, and we are very honored and grateful for this recognition that we just received. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your introductory remarks. Now we enter the more ceremonial part of the event. A word about the format. We will announce the following categories in this order. First, permanent representations here in Geneva, then international organizations, and finally international NGOs or NGOs and associations. For each category, I will first announce the two runners-up, the third and the second placed. I will invite you on stage to have a picture and a memory of this nice moment. And then we will announce separately the winner for the category and ask them which pieces of advice, which suggestions they would have for the colleagues that have faced probably the same challenges in the past year. So I will start now with the first category, that of permanent representations, and for awarding and giving the awards, I will be also joined by Jovan and Monsieur Couteau. It's my pleasure then to announce, with a little bit of suspense, that the runners-up for the category of permanent missions are the permanent mission of France and the delegation of the European Union in Geneva. So join me in a round of applause while I welcome the representative from France. Oui. Vous pouvez dire quelques mots si vous préférez. Oui.
Thank you very much. I will be short, but I just wanted to thank you first, the Geneva Internet Platform and DiploFoundation, and of course the Republican State of Geneva for organizing this prize. We are also willing to congratulate the other missions that will receive the other prizes. I'm truly honored to receive it this year. It's the third time that we are in the third place, so we are very proud of that. I just wanted to give a special thanks to our former intern, Sarah Shashua, who was a great contributor to this work. The war in Ukraine and the intense diplomatic activity that followed in Geneva to condemn Russia in our international fora have unfortunately contributed actually to our visibility and make our work much more necessary. In a world that is becoming increasingly fragmented and where there is a lot of misinformation and fake news, our role in communication, especially on platforms, are very important. And it's very crucial to explain what we are doing in our daily work here in Geneva. So you ask us how to foster online engagement with the rest of the world. Well, at France ONU Genève, we have multiplied the number of educational videos, and it echoes what was said on children and youth, actually, to have the audience a better understanding of the global issues that we are dealing with here in Geneva, whether it is on global health with the Treaty on Pandemics, the fight against food insecurity, the rights of women in Iran, or the vulnerable population affected by migration. These are all the subjects on which we try to explain the stakes that are most often go beyond actually the Geneva platform. Because if, as Nelson Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon to change the world, it is also through pedagogy on platforms that ensure us a wide visibility that we can convince of the essential nature of the multilateral work we are all doing here. So with that, I thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and well done. I'm looking at the audience to see, yes, if the delegation of the European Union is with us.
Thank you very much. My name is Antje. I'm the head of communications at the EU delegation. We're actually a very small team. Normally, our ambassador was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to come at the last minute. So I'm very proud to accept that prize on behalf of our very little team, which is actually me working on 70% on communications and my colleague Laura, who works on 50% on communications. So I think it's a fate that we share with many other permanent missions that we don't really have. Geneva in an international bubble, it's certainly a very important tool. Which will continue to stay, but it's a little bit of a peer-to-peer tool as well in the international community and international bubble. So we're also trying to expand. We've been creating Facebook accounts, Instagram. This year, I think we'll venture a little bit more into LinkedIn, which we think is something which might have a good and we see already that it has good potential, so we will try that. We also try always to do things which are local, but at the same time engage in a global audience, ready UN missions and NGOs and other permanent missions to come together and to do an event, but at the same time tweet about it, put it out there, because we think that in a multilateral world, also on social media, together we're stronger. So that's a little bit the idea that we have. And I once read that social media advice was, if what you do doesn't add value, then they won't listen to you. And I think this prize hopefully means that we do add some values, and our main hashtag is multilateralism matters. And so hopefully this is also a tribute to that. Thank you.
Thank you, and well done. Now, we didn't have the fireworks, but we got the sirens to announce for the second time in a row. The winner for the category of permanent representation is the United States missions in Geneva. Please.
Thank you so much, Marco.
Thank you. Well done.
Because I'd first like to say I'm very grateful that Antje had to deal with the alarm going off rather than me. So I'm very pleased by that. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to receive this award, the Geneva Engagement Award. I'd like to start by thanking the DiploFoundation and Johan especially for the years of partnership that we've had together. I would look forward to continuing that in the future, and I want to also thank Olivier for the partnership we have with International Geneva. Special thanks too to the Secretary General for this incredible space, and yes, the incredible weather that they are providing today here at the WMO. The critical work that the WMO does is, I think, often overlooked, and we really appreciate the that effort and the engagement that you do. It's an honor, again, and a pleasure to be in a room full of people dedicated to engagement. Every organization, every individual here has worked so hard to bring more understanding and more awareness to the critical work that happens in International Geneva. And it's a testament to everybody in the room how much Geneva really does matter. Ambassador Crocker, our permanent representative to the United Nations, and other international organizations here in Geneva, constantly talks about the consequential decision-making, the deliberations, and the discussions that happen here in International Geneva. And it's through engagement like this that all comes to bear. I will be brief, I promise. I do want to thank my team, especially Wendy Lubeck and Meg Rappley and Mike Savage, who are here. We also have a number of unsung heroes and volunteers and helpers and collaborators who made the last year or two of engagement possible. And I thank them all from the bottom of my heart. It's not an easy effort, as Marco said. I won't say that we're outdoing ourselves, but it's a team effort, and I really, really appreciate that. And I will say that I think that the success that we have had in engagement is real testament to what the Biden administration said from the very first day that President Biden took office, that America's back. We're going to be engaged. We're going to be engaged in the multilateral system. And it's a testament to the administration's dedication to really being back at the table, in the conference rooms, on the streets, talking with, meeting with, encouraging and collaborating with individuals and organizations just like you. So thank you all very much for that partnership and that collaboration. Thank you for working with us, and we look forward to even increasing our engagement over the coming years. So thank you so much.
Well done to all of these actors. We are now, with alarms, back for the second category, that of international organizations. So I'm pleased to announce that the runners-up for this category are the World Health Organization and the United Nations Office at Geneva. So join me in a round of applause while I welcome WHO on the floor, first for a few words and then for the award.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is a real an honor, and of course, recognizing the small but very dedicated team of the social media team in WHO Communications. We really value just the recognition for all the hard work that's been done over the years, particularly during the pandemic. And Mr. Couteau's words at the beginning really struck me, because the people we serve is what we're here for. And the way we serve them and reach them is through digital channels, and social media is so important now. So I think particularly reaching young people, it's so important now for us to invest in our social media teams and in making sure that we have the resources we need in these organizations to reach our audiences. So fostering online engagement with the world is really important. We need to know what our audiences need. We can't do top-down communications or preach to them. Engagement's a game of capturing attention and then retaining it. And for this, our content has to be agile, responsive, and authentic. Audiences discern in the first 3 seconds what they want to engage with. And I'm going to hand you over to our social media team lead, Dia Banerjee, to add a few more words. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Of course, I will again start with, a lot of people said that their teams are lean. We are also a lean team, but a very dynamic, versatile, talented, and curious team. And I think all these values are needed to drive social media. You need to have people who really understand the online ecosystem to drive that kind of engagement and cater to the clients. And at WHO, most of our content we lead with authenticity, humility, inspiration, and urgency, and also responsiveness. And these are the key game changers to engage with online audiences. And I've written down, so in the interest of time, we also have, we pay a lot of attention to social listening to monitor our strategies and make sure that we are responding to the needs of our online audiences. And I also want to mention that the world of internet is not the only world, it is, we still have a lot of people offline, so we need to do a lot more advocacy there as well and bring people together. So thank you very much for this honor, and also congratulations to whoever is going to get the award. It's been a pleasure meeting you all. Thank you.
Well done. And now representatives from the United Nations office at Geneva.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this prize. I will skip all the thanks because everybody has said it, how important it is, this prize, but it's great to be here again in person. We have been doing this online, and this is just great to be here again. And it's the 4th year in the row that we are nominated, so thank you very much. I have to praise Miladin Bojetic, my colleague who's in charge of social media that you all know, because indeed, UNOG platforms, you and Geneva, are really about your work. If we are here, our content is not just ours, but it's also yours. Everybody who works in Geneva, one day or the other, we have picked up for one of our posts. So that is why I would really like to thank you all for participating with us in this endeavor. Just a couple of points. We've been asked, what can we advise others to improve the engagement? It's very easy in the sense that Geneva is at the same time local and international. So we have to wear these two hats. On one side, advertise, promote what's happening here in Geneva, and on the other side also make Geneva the focal point or the reference for the global campaigns. So we have these two commitments, I think, and it's obviously something that can be done only if we tailor our stories to our audience. We have seen, for example, on Facebook, if we do one post on Myanmar, we increase 20% our audience. It's really tailored to specific public, and this public listen. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that it has been said that we have to be trustful, we have to give right information, verified information, and that is obviously something which is going to come up more and more as we all go towards what we call the code of conduct on information integrity, which will be integral part of the common agenda that the Secretary General has presented and that we now need to implement going towards the Summit of the Future in 2 years' time. So I think this is really the way to go if we want to increase our audience, be trustful, be reactive. Not everybody has a big social team. I think we have with social media team, we are all in the same boat, but it's important to react as much as possible with truthfulness, integrity, and the audience follows. That's what we have seen, and that's what we will continue to see. And thank you very much to all of you for collaborating with us on this endeavor. Thank you.
Now it's my pleasure to announce that the winner for the category of international organization is UNHCR, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the Geneva Internet Platform, the DiploFoundation, and the Canton. In response to your question on what advice we would give for engagement, I think it's key to invest in creative, high-quality content that is specifically made for social media, rather than retroactively fitting things and making things work for social media. And in that sense, it doesn't have to be always the perfect production, so you don't worry about that. But really, even just raw, authentic content and clips really work best. And in order to invest in such content, you need to invest in talented team members and in a talented team. And I know that's a huge struggle for many to find those resources. And in order to invest into a talented team, you need the ownership from the top to really understand and value our work and see this as a critical element of our external communications and engagement. And the second point I want to make is don't communicate about people without people. And at UNHCR, we've really made a shift, a conscious shift towards more and more refugee-led storytelling. So in our case, refugees, displaced people, stateless people, to not just tell their stories, but give them our platform to tell their own stories and have refugee-centered voices on our platforms. So this award is really for all the amazing refugees that we in the social team have been able to work with in the past year and that are on our accounts, as well as to my wonderful team. So thank you.
Congratulations. We are now at the last category, that of NGOs and associations. And therefore, I'm happy to announce that the runners-up for this category are the World Scout Movement and the New Humanitarian. Join me in a round of applause. Especially double applause for the World Scout Movement, because unfortunately, no one of their team could be available today. They're busy with another conference. So we'll give them a second round of applause. They can watch it online later on. And I can welcome on stage representatives from the New Humanitarian.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for this award. Thank you to the organizers and the Canton of Geneva. My name is Sarah Noble, and I'm the Director of External Relations at the New Humanitarian. It's a nonprofit newsroom, so we're slightly different than the other actors in this category. But coming to the question about how we engage with the outside world and what are some tips, the first is really approaching social media with purpose. We can't communicate with the whole entire world. It's a very big place. It's very loud and noisy. And even if our superiors sometimes want to have the whole world engaged, that's not possible. So it's really important to spend time really understanding who your audience is, where they are, what are their interests, what are they doing, and where can you find them? Also to make sure that you're using the right channels, and really making sure that you're communicating to them in language that they understand, and using storytelling, because as the colleague from UNHCR said, we're communicating about people, with people, for people. And so never forget that at the end of the day, what we're really trying to achieve is not the number of likes or reach, but really the impact of our overall organization. So thank you so much for this work.
Well done. And now the winner for the category of NGO goes to a long-lasting winner of this category. That's why we're most excited to welcome on stage the World Council of Churches.
Thank you very much. This is the fourth time we are standing somehow in front of you. This is the first time we are in person. Otherwise, we have met online. My name is Marianne Edersten, Director of Communication in the World Council of Churches. It's a big honor to be here with you again. And a big thanks to DiploFoundation, Internet Geneva platform, and Canton de Genève. Thanks to you, we are shaping up our strategies, because it's a motivation, of course, to see all of you together. We have a passion for communication, for changing the world, because Geneva has also been called the city of peace. There is a reason behind. I think we have at least 200 NGOs working for a better world, and many of them are gathered in this room today. And as communicators, we have a special side. We have a special task to take action, and we need a planned communication. That's lesson learned within our team. And you could see some of the team members are surrounding me. They are many more, not many, but we are at least 16 to 18 members in the global team working for the World Council of Churches. And what we learned is the 6W. What, why, when, and who. Who are we talking to, and who is doing it? Because it's easy to tell that we should do so many things, but we have limited resources, and you have to prioritize. And also you have to learn also how much impact you have on the communication. So when it's coming to the ceremony today, that's an important part. But we are even more interested to read the report, because we know that that's a tool to shape up the communication within our organization, in many more organizations. Our organization is a little bit younger. We are turning 75 this year. Our birthday is 23rd of August. And as you know, we have our headquarters not so far from here in Grand Saconnet. And you are all welcome to pay a visit, because I believe in togetherness, that we are working for a better world, and we will learn from one another. So thank you very much for the award. And I would like to say special thanks to the WCC communication team, the social media team with Walter, Santi, we have Rhoda, we have Gloria, and Anam, who is mainly involved in the daily work. Then we know that some of our young communicators, thanks to the German government last year, we got a grant to educate young people in communication, 12 modules in communication for peace and justice. And they're also watching now. So thank you very much to all of you.
Congratulations, and thank you for the inspiring speech. Now, the award ceremony, the traditional one, is over. But as I mentioned at the beginning, this year we have a new category, that of accessibility. And there is an organization that has paid most attention to make its website accessible for all types of audiences. As I mentioned before, we look at different indicators, could be brightness, could be font size, could be also navigability of the website. And my colleague Anja Jacic, who will lead one of the thematic groups during the reception time that I will tell you more about, can tell us what we took into consideration. Therefore, without further ado, I'm happy to announce that the award for online accessibility goes to the International AIDS Society. So let me welcome your team.
Thank you. It really is an honor to be here today and receive this new category of award, particularly among such esteemed company. And like many of those who have come before me, I am just a representative of a fabulous team behind me. So I would not be here without the dedication and commitment of this small team. So I want to say a big thanks to them. Just to give you a bit of background, we at the IAS decided to embark on a website redevelopment process. And I know already from talking to people here today that some of you know the pain and the blood, sweat and tears that goes into that process. It was no small undertaking. And we came out of that process on the other side, thankfully winning an award, which is fantastic. But the question really was, what advice would you give to enhance online engagement? And I think our website was very much in need of a change. We had something at the back end that looked like something out of the early 2000s, and on the front end had become a little bit of a dumping ground for the organization. So I'm going to share with you my 3 pieces of advice that I would give anybody who is brave enough to take this on in their organization. And the first is, know your organization. Know your mission, your vision, your values. And that is so critical, because I think that is the reason why we're standing here today, because one of the values at the IAS is about putting people first. And that was central to our entire approach of the website, that we put people first. And the second piece of advice I would say is, know your audience. Many people have talked about this already, but it really is critical. I come from public health, where there's a phrase saying, know your epidemic, know your response. It's the same with communications. If you know your audience, you know who you're communicating with and having a dialogue with, and be data-driven about that as well, I would say. And the third thing is, don't be afraid to make the difficult decisions that might make you unpopular in your organization. We had a lot of data that showed us that mobile was becoming increasingly important. We were having a lot of people accessing our website increasingly through mobile. So we made that difficult and unrelenting decision to not make our website mobile friendly, but put mobile first. And that was critical, because we were cutting a lot of content, making people unhappy elsewhere in the organization, but we stuck to it. And so I think that's also testament to potentially one of the reasons why we're also here today. And I think I am the last recipient of the awards today. So I just hope you would join me in giving a round of applause to Marco for being a wonderful MC today, and the rest of the organizers. Thank you.
Congratulations again to you and to all the other winners, as well as all the other organizations that were considered in the analysis. We found that over the past 8 years, mostly the top 10 is a reshuffling of the main actors, that once they gain that position, they hardly let it go. But it's a good news. It means that not only they innovate, but they keep up with the good results. So congratulations once again. This is the end of the awards ceremony itself, but it's not the end of the event, not just yet. As I mentioned at the beginning, we will now have an informal, very dynamic exchange among yourselves and between you and our experts. So we will have one corner with my colleague Anja Đacić, who will elaborate more on the methodology and the formula and the work that goes into the Geneva Engage Awards, as well as explain a little bit the work that we do with AI tools. We will have another corner with Matthias Lufkens on social media. And then we will also have a corner with Jovan Kurbalja on the website print element that I was mentioning before. So I invite you to stay to grab something sweet. Sweets have arrived during the awards ceremony, and exchange informally with these experts. For the people following us online, I also invite you to stay with my colleagues Jovan Jegic and also Ginger Pak, who is our internal advocate for online accessibility, to discuss upon a few of the issues that we've mentioned during today's ceremony. So before I let you access the food and let you spread towards the corner that you have chosen, I would invite Anja and Matthias Lufkens, and as well as Jovan on stage, to give us a very short pitch of what their thematic corner is would be about. I don't know who would like to go first. Maybe Anja? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So my role today here is on the one hand, to show you the methodology, if you're interested in, that we use to calculate all those metrics. And on the other hand, to show you a graph that we named Ghost Following of Geneva. So if you're interested in what is that, come to my corner.
In my corner over there, we'll discuss social media. Any questions you have about Twitter, the future of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but also TikTok. And maybe some of you have heard overnight, there's a new kid on the block, or is coming by the former creators of Instagram. It's called Artifacts. And that is something we can discuss over there. I can tell you more about it, or even Be Real. Whatever questions you have, but I think we can learn from the collective knowledge that we have from the international organizations and here in the room, and what you've achieved. I think we can all learn from you.
Well, in my corner, you will learn a few things. What is the digital footprint of Geneva? But it sounds abstract. It's very concrete. We have a tool which goes to 50 cities worldwide, from the south of Argentina to north of Sweden to Japan, and do the search for 344 words which are critical in Geneva on environment, humanitarian, human rights, and other issues, and then rank Geneva-based organization to their position on Google. Now, this is the first part. Therefore, you will see how different organizations are ranked, for example, for climate change or climate justice or humanitarian assistance. And of course, we'll explain the methodology. And second point, which we're particularly keen about, is, are we linking to each other? And the bad news is that out of the 92 million links that exist in Geneva-based websites, only 0.49, not even 1%, are linking to each other. Now we will show you which we call X-ray. You will have a ghost with Anja. With me, we will have more medical X-ray or interconnections on Geneva. Building knowledge ecology in Geneva is crucial. And I can see that you will have now difficult choice between great expert of social media, Anja, coming forth, and I'm trying to be still around. But you have to choose, that's life. Choices have to be made. Thank you. I would like to thank once more to Maja Draženjović-Kareri, the director of the WMO, for helping us. And
hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. You heard what's going on.
On my right side, at the end of the, it has been switched behind.
Yeah, you heard what's going on in situ. We will proceed in the same format, in a similar format. We'll have two breakout rooms, one about methodology and math behind the Geneva Engage Award with myself and my colleague Jovan